What is up, guys? Politics Gaming here, and today we are doing a brand new episode of the United Mexican States. The last episode was probably the most successful of this series so far, in which we employed and invited and created the Central American Economic Union. This is now a currency union, a common currency union, much like the European Union, in which we now have every single country in Central America a part of this union. This is the first step in an economic hegemony over the entire region, and today we'll be focusing on foreign policy. Our foreign policy today will be to create a strong relationship with every single one of these countries, and as well, we want to start planting the seeds for a defense treaty which will allow us to start building up our military. So today we will be focusing on foreign policy, increasing our relations with Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua. We already have it with Costa Rica, Panama, and El Salvador, and all of these countries will hopefully join us in some sort of defense pact in which we can basically have military hegemony over the region. We did consider inviting the United States to such an agreement. However, we are going to be holding off on inviting them to anything because that essentially, like one of my subscribers said, it was basically like putting it on easy mode whenever it comes to defense. So basically, instead of relying on the United States, we'd basically be relying on the United States in order to have this organization. Essentially, we will be the big pusher for such an agreement. So we want to just kind of leave the United States out of it. I think we may sign a separate agreement with them. I do believe that we actually have a agreement with the United States. We actually don't, so we can most likely sign a non-aggression pact with them, which actually I will. But the main thing is that I want to start getting some alliances going with our Central American partners. The first one we're going to target right now is going to be Costa Rica. In the meantime, we're going to be focusing on our own national policy. We want to make sure that inflation is on its way down, which it is at 4.63%. Our interest rate right now is at 5.87%. Well, actually, I believe now it is being controlled by the Caillou. New interest rates is 0.12%. So yeah, we need to get that to at least 2 to 3%. Once we get it to 2 to 3%, we will be able to kind of just keep it a little mellow. So we want to kind of double it every single summit. I am kind of starting to regret making the choice of making it a quarterly summit instead of a monthly summit. I think because of the instability of the region, it could have made more sense for me to do it at a monthly summit, but I guess realistically it would probably be quarterly, since every quarter, we have more economic analysis and what's going on. I think what else we're going to be doing, we're going to be focusing a little bit on manufacturing, on trying to get things going with making us the China of Central America, of the Western Hemisphere, essentially. Master of nuclear fusion, our nuclear research teams have succeeded in controlling nuclear fusion. This reaction, which takes place in the stars at temperatures in the order of millions of degrees, produces considerable energy, a lot more than fission. We henceforth can produce equipment and be able to create the necessary conditions for this fusion and exploit it as quickly as possible in these nuclear plants. We're the first ones to have made this discovery, which puts us on a huge scientific advantage. Do you want to patent it and render it commercially accessible to the entire world? Now, this is going to be the turning point in world energy production. And what we want to do is that since we are the first ones to discover this, and of all countries, can you imagine Mexico being the very first one to make this discovery? This is a huge victory for us education wise. It shows that our investments are paying off. We will make this commercially accessible to the entire world, and we will now be making royalties off of anyone producing nuclear power plants. So that is, again, a success for us. We're going to go ahead and do a little bit more of an investment into education. Each peso in this game, in this gameplay now, will be worth around Let's look, 5 cents on the dollar. So look at that interest rate going up. I don't know if that even matters. I don't know if we go off of our own interest rate or if we go off of the currency rate there. 4.1%. So again, I am kind of not familiar whether like how it works, but we may find out. So hopefully we don't see like, you know, hilariously unrealistic interest rates, even though it looks like that it's on its way up. Let's go ahead and say thank you. Costa Rica is with us, so we'll go ahead and propose a military alliance with them. Well, non-aggression pact. We're going to do a support agreement with them.
Sure.
Let's do a coffee, and we'll just do a non-aggression pact with them right now, I guess, since they don't want to sign anything else. Can we do a support agreement since they accepted that non-aggression pact? Yes, they will. So we'll go ahead and leave that there. And that will boost our relations even further. Let's go ahead and see what our relations are with Guatemala. About 60. We have a massive earthquake that just hit, what is this? The Oaxaca region. So we will go ahead and give an emergency package of about 10 billion pesos to the victims of this catastrophe. Earthquake in Oaxaca. There was an earthquake in Oaxaca. There are victims and relief teams are being organized. We should receive an initial report soon, but it will be necessary to prepare for bad news. Initially, right now, 214 people are dead and 744 are wounded in this earthquake. So we will hope and pray that no more will be found dead. So just less than 1,000 victims are a part of this, but pretty low comparatively to what I was expecting it to be. GDP's world share is on its way up at 1.47%. Exports are at 23 trillion pesos, and imports are at 6.8 trillion pesos, and trade balance is at 16.2 trillion pesos. What you see right here is what we changed the abbreviation to. So that is the CAP, the Central American peso. We would be calling it peso, as that is the unified currency over the entire region now. But that is the whole idea of it, was mainly to get everyone to support the peso. So we're going to publicly support the Caillou organization right now and give it some good praise. And then we will probably get a really nice letter from or a nice newspaper article from the Caillou president in the future. I like how there is snow in the Galapagos Islands now. I just noticed that. I don't think that was there before. I do not think that was there before. Who else could we kind of try to interact with? We could try to sign individual agreements with Germany, as they are the one European power aside from France that kind of likes us. We might actually try to start doing some agreements with Germany and France. A free trade agreement with the European Union is completely off the table, at least upgrading such an agreement. Well, actually, it's a global economic treaty, so we will we really actually don't even have to touch it. USMCA agreement, 1.9 trillion pesos, and billions cap. Central American Economic Union, $134 trillion is being is being traded essentially between these countries. What we actually want to do is, since we have a little bit of money to play with, we will go ahead and employ a nuclear fusion plant. So this will take about 7 months, and we will finance it entirely with our treasury reserve. So we will go ahead and build this in the Puebla region. So we will do this with, yes, this is the Puebla region. We will build this just south of the city of Puebla. A little bit of upkeep there. We lost 0.4%. The reason why you see your expenditures go up whenever you have a treasury reserve to cover it, I believe that is mainly just the maintenance costs. So it kind of doesn't surprise me. I'm kind of assuming that, but I could be wrong. What else could we do? So to prepare for defending our people in the South, what we want to do is that we want to start our own weapons industry. We don't want to depend on others, even though we will be buying from the United States every so often. But what we really want to focus on is that we want to focus on getting ourselves self-sufficient whenever it comes to weapons production. So I'm going to give 50 billion pesos to cannons, and actually I'm going to go ahead and reduce that because that did lower my deficit a little bit. So we're gonna do 15 billion pesos actually. It's enough, but we don't want to overdo it. And then we are going to exonerate the sector. We could also consider a nationalization project on every weapon sector that we can. We want to start increasing our presence in the Navy, so we're going to hand over 10 billion pesos over to conventional submarines. We will be investing in fighter planes. We will give them 20 billion pesos. So we'll see what that does. Brings us down to 0.43, and we will increase taxes to pay for all of this. Infantry armaments, let's give 1.5 billion pesos. We already have a sufficient production on it, and it doesn't take that long to produce. Mortar rounds, we want to start doing this, so let's go ahead and do 7.5 billion pesos over to the mortar rounds industry, and then we're going to exonerate it. Other surface ships, we will increase the production, research, and presence of our Navy. We will give them 10 billion pesos. We'll give 1.5 billion pesos to satellites, to the satellite industry, start producing some sort of satellites. Tanks and armored vehicles, we will give 10 billion pesos. We'll actually do 12 billion. We'll do 15 billion pesos actually. And then we're going to exonerate the sector. Zinc, video games, utility vehicle construction. What is this? 3.1. Little bit of a shock coming to utility vehicles. Could we consider giving exonerations to the sector? We probably couldn't, because we'd lose a substantial amount of money. Steel, are we subsidizing steel? We are. How much is this pulling in for income tax? 378. It's kind of going up a little bit slower than I would want, but not too bad. Mortar rounds, missiles. 5 billion pesos over to the missile industry. And we are going to get missile launchers. We're going to ask for about 7.5 billion pesos to the missile launcher industry. Leprosy vaccine, infantry armaments, high velocity missiles. We're going to give a small amount of money to the high velocity missiles. Probably won't expect too much. We probably won't really have that big of a stock. I more want to focus on mortar rounds and missiles than high velocity missiles. They're way too expensive for us. Drones, we will be investing in our own drone program. Let's go ahead and give them a subsidy of about 4.5 billion pesos. And then consumer electronics, automobiles, cement, carbon nanofiber, biotechnology. We actually are already giving some subsidies and exonerations. Armored pickup trucks, anti-missile batteries, something we want to do. 15 billion pesos will be going over to the anti-missile battery sector. This is a huge thing. That way we can defend ourselves and defend our allies essentially from missile attacks. And who are we protecting our Central American allies from? You know, there could be a change of regime in Venezuela and Brazil and Colombia. Maybe they could come up and come after us. And maybe something could happen in which the United States invades Mexico due to a certain Republican candidates or candidates that come into power and start bombing Mexico due to drug cartels and how drug cartels sneak drugs into the United States. And some presidential candidates basically say like that the solution to that is to start bombing the cartels, which would then mean that they are bombing Mexican cities. So we need to prepare for any type of scenario. And in the off chance that China somehow figures out how to break the first island chain, come across the Pacific Ocean, and start invading California, we are able to contribute a lot to the defense of the United States in order to help them out. So there are a lot of different ways that things could escalate into some sort of World War scenario. And if the off chance that the Russians invade NATO countries, even though we are not a part of NATO, we could assist any sort of expeditionary force and allow at least a contingent of forces that we can send over and start to help. So there are a lot of different ways that we can do this. Mexico is kind of in a good position where they're protected by a country in the north and they don't really have a lot of enemies, but we don't want to repeat the same mistakes that the United States made whenever they were isolationists for so long. It's been 100 years since the revolution, and we are prepared to finally move past our isolationism and move toward a more connected future. That's why we want to focus more on foreign policy. We want to focus more on trying to be more involved in the world. So we want to bring our Central American partners together with us and allow for more interaction with the world. And we are more so going to be joining the West. We are not going to be siding with any sort of regime, authoritarian regime rather, in Russia or China. We will not be interacting with them as much as I initially thought. The previous administration under AMLO probably thought so. However, we are now under Claudia Sheinbaum, who seems to be a little more interactive with the world, and her party does seem to think so. We did have a good showing with our coalition in the previous election, so we want to make sure that our voters' thoughts on the involvement of Mexico due to the increased tensions all over the world, in Israel, in China, in the South China Sea, are going to be showing that Mexico is prepared for any type of scenario. I think what else we can do is we can probably now afford a intense traffic airport. This will be a international airport. We will build this in, can we do it in Puebla, Mexico, or we could do it in Puebla or Mexico. So we'll do it in Mexico. Intense traffic airports. Let's do this in about, we'll take about $5 billion, 4,500 people will be working on this project. So about $4 billion is how much this will cost. And the major airport in Mexico has begun. The large construction project has begun, and we can already draw some conclusions. First of all, this is great for national tourism, which will benefit fully from this new infrastructure. As for the transport of goods, it will significantly improve the situation, will help us streamline business. Lastly, even if it makes Barbara Gunlays, the governor of Mexico, happy, the location of the establishment is a really bad choice, particularly because there is already a large infrastructure located nearby that meets the needs of this part of the country. So I believe, where is that airport? Oh, yeah, there is a international airport right there. So we're going to get about 13 million people less than that, but it will basically just streamline business into southern Mexico. I think what we could also do is that we could consider a construction project up in the north. Then I think that's what we could actually do, is we're going to build a small medium traffic airport in the north, and we're going to put about 5 billion pesos into this. So we will do a airport Monterrey already has one. Monterrey already has one. What about Tijuana? Tijuana, do you have an airport? They do not. So we'll go ahead and employ that in Baja California. Benefits, this is great for national tourism. Transport of goods, it will significantly improve the situation, will help us streamline business. It is an excellent choice and will contribute to Baja California development. And we will build one more airport just in the Baja California Sur. Baja California Sur is home to Cabo. However, Cabo doesn't even exist in the game. We will do this at 2,500 people, get it done in about 6 months. Because this area is so like you have to drive all the way up here and then drive all the way down here. We will go ahead and build an airport in order to help streamline business in Baja California Sur. This will help out the economy there. So let's see, even if it makes Oregon is not a great choice since the region is already sufficiently equipped for its needs. Nah, you already said that it's good for the transport of goods and the streamlining of business. So we're going to go ahead and take that. We could also commit to another port in the future, and this port could be Tampico. In the next update, we will be seeing that the city of Veracruz, which is literally in the Puebla region, will be being moved over to where it is actually at, which is around in this area right here. So I am pretty, I guess, excited to see that. However, I'm kind of not looking forward to this update, to the next update, because then I'm gonna have to figure out if it's significant enough, and if it is significant enough, then I would have to figure out how to adapt the Mexico series into that update. So in this one, in this recording right here, I am going to be doing one episode, as I am doing right now, and in the next episode I will be doing back to back. So you will see this episode out on Wednesday, and then you'll see the other episode out on Friday. So I'm going to be attempting to do 2 episodes a week, where I record 2 episodes per week, and I guess probably record on like Friday or something like that. So pretty interesting, and hopefully you guys do like it. Next Caillou Summit will be in Puebla on the 12th of July 2025. New interest rate for central banks. Your presence is required, so we will go ahead and attend the meeting. El Salvador political party.
The theory that says
Salvadorian
like E2 and E2
communists.
Like
No, we're not gonna be funding communists in Central America. You definitely know who's gonna be getting involved there. Forest fire in the Jalisco region. So gonna go ahead and send out about 1.5 billion pesos to assist in that disaster. We're going to go ahead and continue going forward, and what we also want to do is continue to focus on foreign policy, as this was the main focus in the beginning of the episode. So what we want to do is that we want to try to prepare for a new organization. This organization will be a political and military organization. Military organization combines countries with common strategic positions who commit to support and defend each other militarily. There's a couple of ideas about what this organization will be called. So the last episode, we kind of talked about it in passing, where we basically, and actually more people talked about it in the comments. The idea is a organization which will encompass Mexico and all of the countries in South America, Central America. And the somewhat basic name that we can think of right now is the Central American Treaty Organization, which would be called CATO. However, it is a little boring because it's basically you're just taking North Atlantic and then replacing it with Central American. So if you guys can think of a better name for this, which will fit within this text frame, and as well it is only 4 letters for the short name, then I will definitely be looking at those and taking those suggestions. Also, where should the headquarters city be? Should it also be in Puebla? Should it be in Mexico City? Or should it be in some other part of the country? So what should the name be? What is the short name of it? Where should the headquarters be? And should I allow any additional countries into it? And then we have to kind of start thinking about whether there will be a political tendency. Are we going to have a political tendency a part of it? Is there going to be a common religion? Respect for human rights is going to be none. I guess flexible, since all of these countries are, since my country actually is pretty on human rights. And membership vote will be unanimous, but I will go ahead and wait for you guys to give us some sort of a suggestion for the name of that organization. For, again, right now, we basically have CAEU, the Central American Treaty Organization. There was also another idea that someone actually had, which was like the Alliance for Central Territories of the Americas, or ACTA, which actually is a very interesting name. So do you guys like the Alliance for Central Territories of the Americas, or what do you guys think that we should take? Victim compensation of this forest fire at 9 billion pesos. We will go ahead and go for 15 billion pesos. Try to say that we're helping them out. So we already have a government contribution of 16.5 billion pesos to the forest fire in Jalisco. United States delivers 200 tanks to the Mexican military. That is amazing. So that means that we are doing better in terms of military projection. We also want to start increasing our career soldiers. We're going to go ahead and go for 325,000 active duty troops. This will cost us about 13.23 billion pesos. We also want to max out our commandos. So this will be really, really, really good for us. Missiles, let's go ahead and look to see if we have production of these, and we are going to go for a little bit of a military buildup. So I think I'm going to go ahead and skip forward on this, and then I will show you guys what exactly we are employing. All right, and we are back. So we are nearing the next summit of the Caillou. However, we did embark on a small military buildup, and I say small sparingly. Essentially, what we did is that we went through and we went and bought a lot of weapons. So we bought 371. This is the objective. We're going to have 371 missiles, 1,000 rank 2 tanks, 200 rank 3 tanks, which we already have, as the United States has already delivered them. We are aiming to have 200 rank 2 missile launchers, 200 rank 3 missile launchers, about 15 anti-missile batteries. We are also calling for 607 cannon rank 2s, and we are calling for 500 rank 3 helicopters and 30 rank 3 drones. And then we want 20 rank 2 fighter jets, which we are buying from ourselves. Frigates, we are purchasing 10 of them from the United States. We are purchasing 10 rank 3 submarines from the United States. And that is about it. Now, how much did this cost Mexico? You can see that we are now in a deficit right now. This cost Mexico 1.9 trillion pesos. So that is a hefty number. And yes, that is a hefty number in US dollars. In US dollars, that accounts for, at current market value in foreign exchange, from at this moment on 11/17/2023 at exactly 4:06 p.m., that accounts for $111.29 billion in US dollars. So that is an expensive purchase by the Mexican government in order to essentially show how powerful Mexico can be. Now, we are getting offhanded weapons that are probably going to be outdated by the time they even arrive. We should essentially get most of these weapons pretty on time. None of these are gonna be delivered before after 2027, so we should get most of these weapons during the year of 2026. So next year is going to be a big thing for our military. We are also going to be purchasing weapons just, every so often. So what we're going to do now is we're going to see how much we got in this next cash surplus. We got 1.08 trillion pesos in this last go around, and we are going to go forward to the summit of the Caillou. So we're going to be increasing interest rates for the Caillou, and this will be pretty good for us. So immigration right now is at a negative 1.02% right now, or 1.02 out of 1,000. So that is unfortunate. We want to continue to try to encourage people to come here legally. That is really something that we want to do. However, we still are getting a lot of people that are coming here illegally. So even though we have more immigration rates getting out of the country, we are still getting a lot of people that are coming here illegally and then kind of either staying or leaving to the United States. However, it is good that we are starting to get more people out of the country that are more so being deported by the country. Now, it's kind of weird whether you're going to say that's good or not, because they are trying to search for a better life. However, to try to stabilize our immigration situation and maybe even boost relations with the United States economically and politically, it would be good if we were to start to get at least a quarter of people, immigrants, out of the country via deportation. So it does look like that immigrants are on their way down, which actually, if we look, total immigrants right now in 2025 is 939,000 people. In 2025, for immigration, it is 1.03 million people. So that is actually kind of good that we are positive in terms of immigrants coming in and immigrants leaving. So that means we're getting more people than we're losing. However, net immigration rate, which is, if I can go over here, so it says immigration can be analyzed according to different variables, each one having a very precise definition. Immigration refers to foreigners who enter a country, and immigration refers to people who leave their own country. Net immigration, the most utilized comparison variable and calculated by year between countries, is the difference between legal exits from the country and entries into the country, which is accounting for migratory flow. So the reason that we are not doing good in terms of this is because we are getting more illegal entries into the country than we are getting legal entries. So if we can get illegal immigration to go down, which the unfortunate side effect of this is that I'm going to have to expand my detention centers exacerbly, is that I need to get that up in order to try to turn around my immigration rate. The more detention centers I will be able to build, at least I need about 1,000 to 2,000. I think as the United States, I actually had 5,000, and that actually got illegal immigrants to go down in the United States. We don't necessarily want illegal immigrants to go away. We just want net immigration rates to be positive. That is what we really want as Mexico, because we want to start importing people. And what we could actually do is that we could start to sign immigration agreements. And actually, that's actually what I'm going to do before we do this summit here. So what we're going to do is that we're going to send out a immigration agreement to every single one of our Central American partners. We're going to ask them to start getting people to come here legally for work. So we're going to sign an agreement with each and every one of these countries, and I will see you guys whenever I'm done with it. Okay, so we just signed an agreement with each and every one, or sent out an agreement to all of these countries aside from Belize. So we're going to go to the day after tomorrow, and we are going to see what the reaction is from all of these countries. Now, my kind of fear, and actually because of the deficit from that huge military buildup, we are going to increase our carbon tax to 200. We're actually going to do 179, and that should, and actually didn't. Oh, because we're in pesos, so I actually need to significantly up this. We're going to go to the day after. So Guatemala accepted it. So I basically went around and I said, okay, we want to import workers from all of you. What we need to do is that we're going to give you 30 billion pesos each, and we are going to ask that you send over your workers, and then they start working in Mexico, and maybe they will even apply for citizenship. It's an easy way to get citizens. So that's what we're doing with all of these countries. Guatemala accepted this offer. El Salvador accepted this offer. Nicaragua accepted this offer. Honduras accepted this offer. And then Costa Rica accepted this offer. Panama seems to be the only one that said no to this agreement. This is because of labor issues in their certain sectors, and they cannot encourage the immigration of their own workers. Let's go ahead and see what that did to my deficit. That didn't really touch it, so I'm not really worried about that now. I think what we're going to do is that we're going to aim for a carbon tax of about 1,000 pesos. 1,000 pesos is about $58 at current market value. So I think about maybe 2,000, 3,000 pesos could actually make sense. So that could be good. Let's go over to diplomacy. Let's go over to immigration. We're about to do this meeting. Once we're done with this meeting, then we're going to go ahead and be able to go forward. So we do see that we have a immigratory agreement with the United States worth nearly 600 billion pesos, or is that is 5 trillion pesos. Wow. What is the max that we can get? 31 trillion pesos. So actually I think that's what we could do, is that we could call for the United States to give us more money. So basically, like, the United States is our little cash cow. So Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua will be sending over workers to Mexico, and we will see what the immigratory effects of that will be. So it's going to be a really good test to see what that does to our demographics over here in this. So I'm kind of excited to see what that will do for our workforce. Hopefully what we're expecting is that more people will be coming in for work. So right here we see that 0.8% of our workers are coming in for work. What we really want to expand on is students. We want to expand on family, and we want to expand on work. Refugees, unless we really have to, or the return of nationals. But the big ones that we really want to focus on are these three right here. And then at the same time, we need to start considering building more deportation centers or detention centers. These are places basically where whenever we have someone cross over, we administer them. They basically say, you know, are you fit to be in this country? And then whenever they are cleared, then we release them into the country, into our country as an illegal immigrant, or we just send them back if they don't fit the criteria, or if they're a criminal or something like that. Let's go ahead and go to the 12th, and we will be attending this CAEU meeting, the Central American Economic Union, and this will be the increase of interest rates for the CAEU. All right, and the CAIU, ruled by Mexico. Welcome one and all. Well, welcome one and all. We are meeting today to determine the interest rate for the value for the organization's banks. Madam President, we would like to have your opinion. What value do you wish to agree upon? So we're going to increase that to 0.14%. And that's kind of one thing that I'm worried about, is how fast are we going to be able to increase this? So we're going to increase it to 0.14%. What we did just see is that our growth forecast right now is 7.93%. And that is most likely because of the increase in our weapons industry, because we are buying so many weapons from ourselves. It's kind of like money laundering, except it's legal. It's like you're buying your own industry and giving yourself money and giving yourself those tax things. Finally announced that the new sales interest rates for the central banks is 0.12%. They did not increase central bank interest rates, so that's kind of unfortunate. I really would like to see that we have at least a 1% interest rate. We don't want to be encouraging too much growth. Otherwise, we will be spelling disaster for our economies. So hopefully we can get these guys in line for the next summit in the next episode. Guys, if you guys are interested in a new episode, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more Mexico and what Caillou will become, go ahead and hit that like button. Tell me down below, number one, what you guys want to see the name of that organization for the defense organization over Central America. Also looks like that our relations with all of Central America are really, really good right now. And also What kind of economic policies you guys want to see? The kind of defense policies you want to see? How involved in Africa should I be as well? What kind of foreign policy decisions on Russia and China do you guys want to see? Should I try to trade with China a little bit? Should I still try to be neutral, or should I officially basically just try to increase relations with our European partners as well? What kind of path should I go for in international relations? Regional relations, we obviously know what we're doing, but international relations, we haven't made a decision yet. But we are kind of like flirting with relations with the West. I also am going to be signing a non-aggression pact in the next episode with the United States. So what do you guys want to see? Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more content, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss anything whenever I do make it on the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.